Good morning, everybody. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. So, Hollis Citron with Express Yourself Publishing, and I am so frigging excited to have you meet Jenny Crozier because there is so much. She just showed me something right before we got on this call, and I was like, what? So I'm going to let her talk in a minute, but I just want to tell you what we're doing together. So Jenny, we created her children's book, which is called Jenny and Jill of All Trades. I'm a welder, and I'm just going to quickly read to you her why, and then I'm going to have her introduce herself. So her why in this is, why does this book series even exist? This book is meant to inspire children and adults to look at different trade careers and how they impact each and every one of us. Trades are the backbone of everything, literally everything, all around the world. Trades jobs need dynamic people from all walks of life to go into these exciting industries. Blue collar, may we know them, thank them, and be them. Jenny, can you please tell us a little bit more about who you are?
I'm Jenny. I am in the construction industry. I do general contracting. I co-own my own company, and we do residential new builds, remodels, updates, all that kind of stuff. So from the ground up, from everything from design and excavating the hole to the completed project and everything in between.
So, I mean, what I am so passionate about. So, with my publishing house, I love the beauty of this is I get to connect with people who really light me up to then because your mission is so powerful. I want to thank Nee. I'm sorry if I ruin this, but Nee Dirt Works just as joining us live. So thank you so much for being here, saying this is exciting. What Jenny is really doing, from my perspective, is she's really bringing such a light to the trades. And in this specific book about welding, and it's for kids, but adults are learning through this process. There is so much for adults to know. And for example, in her book, what's so great is that it's so colorful, but she shares all these fun facts. And for example, did you know, everybody, that Texas is the capital of welding jobs in the USA? More than 1 in 10 welders call Texas home. It's all of these facts. So, Jenny, tell us a little bit more about you. Like, were you always into were you always into welding, into building, into tell us more about you, please.
So as a young girl, I always wanted to be a mechanic like my granddad, and I always tried to help, but the boys always got those jobs. My brother, my cousins, I was more of like the go fetch girl. So I had a fascination with tools early on, and it was an array of tools. So I love all the jobs. I don't mind getting dirty. I grew up wanting that. And then as I grew up, I was kind of turned down for mechanical programs. And so I had to reevaluate, and I went to beauty school because that's kind of what was expected of me, being girly. And that wasn't for me. So eventually I had to work my way back as an adult and say, you know what? No, I can do what I want to do, and I can go in the trades. And so that's a big pull for me to get young girls to see, you know what? It is possible now. Like the doors weren't always opened then. And my thing is always, why wait for someone to build the door or open the door when you can just build the dang thing yourself? And so I've had to build a lot of doors, and I'm hoping that those bridges fill that gap for these new generations coming, because it's so important for them to feel welcome in this industry so that they can get into this industry.
So I love this. So you travel, so you've been really doing a lot of presentations. Like, you've been making your way around, and you've been doing so many things specifically for girls to understand that this is something that they can do.
Yeah. And it's good for them to see that you can be feminine and tough. You can beauty and you can beast, and you can do the things that you want to do, because I think it's not really a main focus in your main public schools. They push college a lot, which is great. And if you want to go get a college degree and still go into the trades, that is another avenue for you to go in, because there's something for everyone. But some people don't want to go to college. Some people really do want to work with their hands right from the beginning. And so I want them to see there are these opportunities. They might have to look a little harder than, a guy, depending on where you live, but there's so much open because there's so much need in the trades that no one's going into. And it is because they've kind of said, well, I worked hard, so my kids don't have to do that. Or there's this shift in why we think the way we think, and there's these roles. And I think all of that is opening and breaking, and there's so much opportunity.
It's like breaking the ceiling.
Yep.
Literally, it's breaking the ceiling.
Why even have a ceiling? Just get out there and climb.
Yes. Yes. Oh my God. So it's college is not for everybody, but ladies and gentlemen, like, who do you think builds your bridges? Who do you think builds
who builds that college? Yeah.
Who the pipes for plumbing? How about the electrician that comes and fix that electricity when it's not working? You don't want such electricity. There is so many. When people think of the trade, it's like people aren't really thinking, right? It's because we just take it for granted for what we have.
We do. And there's this, internet out there, which is so great in so many ways, and you can learn so many things from it, but it also takes away the wonder of in person, of going somewhere and being like, I wonder how this works. Whereas, the generations before were like, well, I want to see how this works so I can either make mine better or make it better for everyone. And they don't have that because their curiosity is different. They're like, well, who sings this song? Or who does this? Or who does that? Whereas we were seeing things in front of us more than these kids today are. They're seeing what's, the phone in front of them, and like what their possibilities and their mind have changed from the regular stuff that makes things work to everything. And when everything is so broad, a lot of things just get skipped over.
Right. So here I want to kind of hone in on welding, and I'm looking at your book specifically, like where it says here, what can I do with welding? More like what I can't do. There's pipe fitting, boiler makers, brazers, cutting, or fabrication, just to name a few. And then the fun fact is boiler makers fabricate, install, maintain, and repair boilers, tanks, vats, pressure vessels, and other structures. So it's this understanding this broader meaning of what it is. So with welding, because that's what this book is about, when did you actually start welding and how did you learn?
So welding is fascinating, and I'm definitely not a pro. I just know a lot of people that do really awesome things, and it's always intrigued me. And my welding is more of, we got to fix something, like something broke. Like our rack on our truck, it needed fixed because it just kept breaking and the weld was crap in the first place. And so then you have to weld, or you have to make something fit. So, you're using equipment and you've got to weld something on, or, most of my welding is more of a fix it job, not like a pretty job. But these welders who do art and who do all this stuff, it amazes me. And then, when I was researching for the book, I learned so much. I learned about how many things are touched by a welder, and how many things. And I've always noticed bad welds. Like, you're somewhere and you're like sitting on a swing set, or you're sitting on something and you're like, oh, that wasn't a very good weld. But it holds, and there is this amazing part of it. Even if you're not very good, just keep practicing, because the possibilities are endless with what you can do with welding. So I'm still practicing, I'm still learning and growing. So I just keep plugging along. It's not my profession, but in building, there are a lot of fix-it jobs that we do. I've done stair rails. I've done different things that you do have to use that as a skill.
So I think that's really important when you just pointed out, like when you look up at the swing set and you notice the weld, you see it's not great, but it's doing the job. So right. I think I just want to point out that, ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to be perfect at things all the time. And even especially when you're starting, like, it's not about the perfection, but in that case, it works. So it's like, okay, it's holding the swing. That's what it's supposed to do. Doesn't look pretty, but if you practice and you make a point, then It
And it's
will.
about the passion, you know. I mean, if that's what you want to do, you will get good at whatever it is that you put your mind to. And the opportunity is there. There are so many jobs in welding. And I thought that was a really good place to start with the first book because there is so much opportunity in welding anywhere you live. I mean, anywhere.
So I know there's some information on that, which I'm going to look in the book because you list like more like the job part. So at the end, this is again what's so great about the book because I mean, besides all the fun facts, then there's like about vocabulary and like she really breaks it down because she wants you to understand and really learn. Okay, career opportunities in welding, master jeweler, MIG welder. What's a MIG welder?
Oh, you want me to start defining things? Well, there's different types of
I'm
welding.
just curious when I read that. I'm like, what's a MIG welder?
Yeah, there's different types of forms of welding. Let me make sure I don't get this wrong. So it's like the gas metal arc type of welding.
Okay.
So it's where you take the two metals.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So MIG welding, sheet metal worker, fabricator, welder, structural iron and steel worker, welding inspector, tool and die maker, master plumber, oil rig welder, pipe fitter, auto body welder, technician, industrial boil maker, artist. So there's like a whole.
And that's just some. I mean, there's endless possibilities of what you can do with welding. So there's a whole bunch.
Yeah. So I'm just going to throw this into said I wasn't going to for this, but first I do want to welcome everybody. So I don't think I did it. So hi everybody. so glad that you're here. So any questions, any comments, please feel free to put them in the chat box where we can see them, and we can answer any questions or respond. So how do you define creativity, Jenny?
Do you want my poem of how I define creativity?
Do you think that's the best way to do it?
I don't know. We can go back to it, or we can just start with, I wanted to show.
Yes, please show that.
So creativity is just whatever is inside of you that you want to get out. And there's so many different things. It doesn't have to be your standard song that you write or piano that you play or song that you sing. I know in enjoying construction, a lot of people are like, well, you're so creative. Yes, it does take creativity to build a home. You have to vision it and see it and do it. And that's kind of how these books were for me. I've always written poetry and I've not really shared it until this last year and a half or so. And it's been hard because I think creativity is something so deep in you and so part of your fabric that it is hard to share, because if someone doesn't like it or they judge it or they misconstrue something that you say, it hurts because it's such a deep part of you. But when I first started thinking about this book, I made it into a paper version and I drew all of my little, and I wrote first draft on it because I was hoping I would get to that final draft. I would get to that final book. And it's so funny because I sent this to my friend Chelsea, who is the illustrator, and I had to make little notes because I'm not an artist at all. And I had to be like, this is not a thumb and this is not this, but that's what it looks like. And I mean, it was just so fun to have notes and to have, an idea of what I wanted, then go through all these different versions as I was creating it and doing it, and how it ended up at the end versus where I started. And that's how we are as people. Like we have an idea of something we want to do or we want to be. And it takes all of this time and practice and versions to actually get to where the final one is, and how the changes happen and it grows and it gets a life of its own. So I would say that is creativity. It's who we are.
I love what you said. It's like so deep in you. It's a part of you. It's like, and how long ago did you do like the paper book where you had your brainstorming idea book?
It's like a year. I think it took a year to get from then till now.
So this is everybody where I call myself the creativity doula. So when I've had people say, "You're a doula?" Like I'm like, I'm like, I don't help actually give birth. I birth ideas. So,
Yes.
but it's you literally went through almost like the birthing, a little bit longer, but of the idea of a child. But this really is your child, no matter how long it takes, whether it takes 2 months, whether it takes 10 years. It's this, and you can really speak to this. What I really love seeing of what you just did was it's like that napkin, everybody. It's like the proverbial napkin of writing your idea down, that song or whatever, and because you're getting it out of you.
Yeah.
So it's out. And then you had the guts to show it to your illustrator to be like, this is my concept. I
Yeah.
can't
It is
show
horrible.
I can't present it in the way that I want to, but you can.
Yeah.
Like, and then this is where the vibe goes on. Then she's like, oh my gosh, I love this. Let's create this. Let's work together. And then all of those changes, because you were doing it on Canva, and then you were able to order the hardcover books,
Yeah.
but you needed to see you needed to hold it in your hand, which I think is, you could have just had it on your screen and done the changes, but you were like, no, I want to see what it actually looks like.
Yeah. Yeah. I had to see if it was at all what I was envisioning in my mind in person,
And then there were so many changes. Then it was like, okay, this needs to be tweaked, that needs to be tweaked, until you got to the point where, and is anything ever perfect? No, it's not. You have to create a line, right? To
Yeah.
be able to say, sorry, everybody, this sun is blaring in. So we're just going to have to look a little angelic right now.
I like it.
But you have to like draw the line, right? And say,
Right.
this has to be done.
Yeah. And I realized once I got to a certain point that this was going to be a big deal when I started talking to little kids and showing them and seeing their excitement. Like, it came real, like it became a thing that was needed, not just for me and to share my creativity, but needed in their hands. And it was a change in mind thought of, well, from I don't know if it's good enough to whether it's good enough or not, it's needed. So I'm going to do all I can to get it to where I feel like it's, quote unquote, perfect from what I can do, but it's needed. So it's important to get it out there.
So tell us about some of the reactions that the kids gave. And what's beautiful is that you've shown this to kids of different ages.
Yes. I would say the best is the little girls who had never heard of welding. They did not know that you could, not that I'm glamorous in any means, but especially when I go talk to kids and stuff, I'm a flamboyant person. I'm a colorful person, and I'm put together. And so when I would go in, they would be like, so you can like be, pretty and dress up and still do these jobs. And talking to them about different kinds of workwear and proper PPE and all of this stuff. Like, they literally have no ideas. And I come from a pretty rural area, and you would think that them seeing certain things around, they would have an idea of things, but they aren't being taught. And so they really, really don't. And that was probably the most exciting, was that they were like, wow, like I could do this, because they hadn't even known it was an option.
I think that's like a big theme throughout all of this and throughout what you've created. It's like, I didn't know that was an option.
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know.
And that's the thing. That's my whole goal, is to show them. And that's, I want to do future books in different trades areas. That's why it's Jenny and Jill of all trades, I'm a welder. The next one will be Jenny and Jill of all trades, something else. And there's so many. And I've already had people come in and asking me, hey, would you highlight what we do? Would you talk about what we do? Because they know they need new workers. They know they need that influx of new blood to keep the industry going, because these jobs are so important.
So important. They're the backbone.
Yep.
Like you said in the beginning, my why, it's the backbone, everybody. Like, this needs to exist. It's not something that can go away.
No, and it is, yeah. And they talk about AI taking stuff over, but someone's got to program that AI. Someone still has to know that job. That's just not how it works. We can't just hand everything hard over to something else. Like, it still has to be done.
So we could go on and on and on.
And I know.
But let's Anybody, if you have questions, please, again, put them in the chat box. Any comments, we appreciate it. If I can see it here, then we will respond. If I can't, then we'll do it after. But would you read the poem?
I will. Okay, let me. Okay, how do I define creativity? How do I define creativity, and what is it to me? Why, it's about breaking rules in the name of artistry. You can't define it or hold it or keep with tradition. It's going against the norm, against all submission. It's taking an idea that's been planted inside and allowing it to be on display with no place to hide. It's feeling raw and powerful and expressing yourself. It's about writing my book that now sits on my shelf. Creativity is huge in the freedom it holds. You can create your own future right as it unfolds. Your imagination is the limit, so that means no ceiling. It can be based off a skill or a thought or a feeling. Everyone can create, but some just don't unleash. It took me a while to find my true niche. And so this is me, all submersed in productivity, truly letting out all my creativity. From the homes that I build, to the pods that I cast, to writing this book, which, trust me, won't be my last. Creativity is me, and it's you, and heck, it's us all. There is no rhyme, no reason, no protocol. Reward yourself and your curiosity too. Jump right in if you haven't, it's long overdue. To sum it all up, creativity is not a fixed trait. Don't be scared to develop whatever it is you want to create. Here's me saying, I truly believe in you, because if I can do it, you can too.
Oh my God.
So that's creativity in a nutshell, in a poem.
Oh my God. Don't be scared, everybody. Breaking the rules, going against the norm. Just because somebody's like, well, nobody ever did it that way before, that's even more reason to be like, oh, yeah.
And even the opposite, even though it's been done a million times, it hasn't been done by you.
Yes.
And maybe you're bringing something new, to that table or whatever.
Yes. And thank you for the comment. AI isn't going to replace what I do for a very long time.
Yep.
Yeah, because we're people, we're individuals. Nobody can do it. Nobody.
And we have feelings. I think feelings play a way bigger role than people give it credit for.
Feelings, emotions, all of that.
A machine is never going to be passionate about what it does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, there's going to be many more opportunities to be able to hear Jenny, meet people that have been a part of this space as well. And we can really talk to them, and them being in the trades, they're going to talk about who they are and what they do. And we can really learn. Please learn with us along the way. We're going to be here in Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and then we're also going to be on Instagram at and I'll put all the information in here. It's at I Am Creative Philly. So we're going to be having these conversations all throughout the week. And it's just really, really powerful. And the links, of course, to be able to purchase Jenny's book. And Jenny, before we say our goodbyes, do you want to add anything else?
You can go visit jennyandjillofalltrades.com. There's some coloring pages and where you can find the book. And I'm just excited to get it out there, and I hope everyone else is excited to see it.
Yes, thank you. And we'll put her website here. Again, all the information will be in this space, either up there, down there, wherever it is. The information is all here. And on the last page, I love this. She says, and it might be hard for you to see, but we're all under construction.
Yep, it's true. A constant work in progress.
We are. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to mess up. We're going to do all these things. And that's because we are human. We're not AI. But it's just the beauty of saying, okay, and then just move on, do it better.
Yep.
Yeah. An awesome poem. You just got some snaps for your poem. So, so ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Those who joined us live, those catching the replay, #replay. And Jenny, I just love you. I just love your energy. I love your mission. And I can't wait for more conversations.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Bye, everybody.